Quality teachers are the cornerstone of propelling America's educational system forward and preparing our students to be successful and continue to make the United States a world leader. When I sat down with Dr. Bennett, I got his feelings on how we improve teacher quality and his thoughts on those that say his educational agenda is attacking teachers. We're talking about increasing standards, and you have taken on teacher quality and teacher effectiveness as a cornerstone of your education agenda. Talk to us a little bit why teacher education, teacher quality is so critical for the success of students.
Well, Vince, we know that whether it's in Evansville or Gary, the most important school-based reform we can drive is teacher principal quality. You know, you and I have had many discussions about what's the secret recipe for great schools. What is it that makes great schools? And you know what it is? It's high standards, a great principal, and great teachers. So to me, this whole process starts with teacher preparation. Let's start tying teacher preparation to student growth, the measure we now use in Indiana. Let's also begin to evaluate our teachers, in part with student growth, that with evaluation instruments that you and your teachers develop at the local level. And let's make HR decisions based on quality and not seniority, not inputs, but on a teacher's ability to affect the life of a child or the lives of children in terms of helping them become more college and career ready. So we believe this issue of selection, recruitment, retention, all of the aspects of HR in school must be driven by quality.
And I want to get to some of those particulars, but some teachers, and we've seen protesters and others that have said this is an attack on teachers. How do you respond to that criticism?
You know, Vince, I would have to look at you, and as you know, I consider you a very dear friend in this profession, and you asked me a very pointed question, and I would have to look at you at some time and say guilty as charged. You know, we started this discussion with some very strong statements regarding chronically underperforming schools. I am sorry if I have one regret in 26 months. If I could look right at the camera and look every teacher in the eye that's doing an incredible job with their children, if I have one regret, I would look at them and say, I am sorry we have lumped you with people who are not getting the job done. I'm sorry we've lumped your school with schools that aren't getting the job done, and we need to do a better job of differentiating. So with that, I would say that. Because, you know, there are two types of reformers in this business. There's the type that lobs bombs and tries to blow things up and goes on the attack. And there's the other type that brings practical, real-life solutions on how we improve education. I think at times, sometimes we drift into type one. Our intent is to be that reform-minded superintendent who truly brings meaningful reform to education that really upholds the nobility of the profession that you and I got into because it's the most noble profession on earth.
And I agree with you. It is a noble profession. A lot of people, but you talk about differentiation, and that's something we haven't done a very good job of in education at any level, from superintendents, principals, or teachers. So how do you propose doing that?
Well, I think first let's just use that. Let's talk about differentiation. Let's talk about using data. Let's talk about using student growth measures, student performance measures, maybe some that you develop locally, maybe parent surveys, maybe student surveys, maybe those things where teachers are so good that you put them in charge of evaluation of other teachers. You put them in charge of mentoring teachers who are on improvement plans. So let's, one, come up with measures that truly say at the local level, who are our high flyers? And let's pay them accordingly. Let's recognize and reward high flyers. Let's help those folks that want to get better. But Vince, you and I both know, as I was a former superintendent, you now sit in that very difficult chair. Sometimes we have to have that hard discussion. Sometimes we have to look someone in the eye and say, I'm sorry, you don't belong in this profession. We need to help you find another. And we haven't done that well.
So part of this differentiation is not only in the evaluation process, but also in compensation.
Without question. I think, you know, Vince, I heard Joel Klein, I think you heard Joel Klein say this, the Indiana Education Roundtable was a very moving statement Joel Klein made, the former chancellor of New York City Public Schools, when he said, it's a really poorly constructed system when the best financial day of a teacher's life is the day they file their retirement papers. Now think about that.
Yeah, provocative statement. Yeah. We'll be right back and talk with Tony Bennett more about school choice and the rest of Indiana's education agenda right after this.